Hey, this is Mark Walton for GameSpot UK, and it's time for some RPG action on the stage. We're joined by someone from Square Enix. Hello, very good to meet you.
Hi, good to meet you.
How's it going?
Great, thanks.
Excited to see Final Fantasy XIII-2 at last. It's been something that a lot of people have been anticipating for some time now. Give us a brief overview of the game before we kick into the demo.
Sure. 13-2 is a direct sequel to Final Fantasy XIII. Storyline-wise, it takes place right where 13 left off. In this one, Lightning's gone missing, so she was our protagonist from 13. So we're actually going to play as Sarah, her younger sister, who wasn't playable in 13.
Yeah.
And then a new character named Noel, who we just announced for E3 this year.
Great stuff. And so can you just give us a little brief bit about the storyline quickly? How does it link into the previous game?
Well, again, we're not saying too much about the overall plot. We're still pretty early in the campaign, but at least in this scene, we're dropped into this location called Brescia, where we're several years after 13 ended. Not to spoil anything, but Pulse has basically been saved in a way. The world is rebuilding, so we're in one of the locations that's currently rebuilding. We're trying to find a mysterious creature now that's attacking us right now in the demo. We're going to fight him for a minute and then try to track him down, and we'll kind of see this battle ensue in just a moment.
Cool, so tell us what's going on here. So this creature here, I saw the demo earlier, so this is called Atlas?
Correct, yeah. He's just this giant that was previously still, and he wasn't moving, but all of a sudden, for some reason that we're going to investigate, he's animated this way, and he started to attack the settlement that's been developed. What's happening in a way is that there are kind of these alternate realities taking place simultaneously, and Atlas crossing over into our reality at the moment. So one of those fantastical concepts that goes into most Final Fantasy games. We're going to see it play out here.
That's one of the things I noticed there, that Moogles are back as well.
You bet. Yeah, they had a brief appearance in 13, always been kind of the corporate mascot since Final Fantasy came out in that. And they're going to come back quite a bit more. In this case, he actually is multifunctional. He's going to be Sarah's weapon. So he forms a bow or a sword depending on how far Sarah is from her enemy. He's got several other uses that we'll see through the demo.
Yeah.
But for now, this battle's really here to illustrate that the paradigm system is back, it's intact. For anybody not familiar, paradigms are really just a way of organizing your characters into preset combinations of roles or character classes. So we're switching between those at any time. This is called a cinematic action sequence. These are short cutscenes that are interspersed into the battle sequences. They call for a quick time event that we successfully completed, so we've got a couple of buffs on our characters. Noel's got Brave, Sarah's got Faith. Those will increase their attack power.
So what happens if you fail to complete that quick time event correctly?
Yeah, we're not going to bring the player out of battle. We're not going to give them a game over. In this case, you take some damage. In a lot of cases, you'll get the cutscene to play out in a different way. So some players may want to fail them. Some of the failure cutscenes are as interesting as the success ones. So we're just trying to kind of change the way the game flows depending on how the player plays it.
So are there any other changes to the battle system we should know about? So you've got the standard paradigm shifts are back as well and all that kind of stuff. Is there anything else?
We're going to get to it in a minute. One of the first things that dev team wanted to address here with Final Fantasy XIII is that, in creating the paradigm system, we definitely tried to increase the pace of battle, tried to make things a little more fluid and seamless.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we got some criticism that we've lost a bit of the deeper strategies involved. So we're going to see a feature come up in a little bit. You'll notice we're only 2 characters right now. Yeah. Final Fantasy XIII, for the most part, featured 3 characters. So we're going to fill that third slot in a kind of interesting way, and we'll see it play out a little bit further in the demo.
Great stuff.
For now, we're just going to keep applying damage to Atlas. He can't be staggered. You see that stagger bar at the top right.
Yeah.
It's very tough right now. Something's going on with his appearance, the invisibility. So we're just trying to fend him off at the moment. And then right here, we're going to get some help from above. You'll see another cinematic action sequence. These are really here to kind of pull you away from the typical perspective you're seeing in battle. Most Final Fantasy games, you got your characters in the foreground, monster in the background. So trying to add some new perspectives there. You see these airships coming in now to help us out. And so these cinematic action sequences are going to come up quite a bit in these major battles.
So do they affect the direction of the storyline at all? So, if you do get one wrong or something, will it affect, will it branch paths effectively?
Not necessarily through these cutscenes. There's going to be another feature later called the live trigger that'll have a little bit more impact on how the player plays the game. These cutscenes are really just to, again, to highlight that visual aspect of Final Fantasy we've always tried to incorporate. But you see with the help of these airships and another QuickTime event, we've completed this battle. So we're actually following this fight. We're going to skip forward. We're actually moving past a couple of cutscenes for the purpose of the E3 demo. We don't want to introduce any spoilers yet. So what's going to happen is Atlas is still alive. He's moved to another part of the map, so our next objective now when we land back in the field is to try to track him down and see where he is. So we're going to come back to Brescia. Now Brescia is a returning location from 13, but since chronologically we're later than 13, it's changed quite a bit. I mean, anybody who'd be familiar with that location would know that it was basically a crystallized lake.
Yeah.
Here you're seeing some ruins that appear, but they're going to be very, very different looking. So while some locations will return, characters will return, Sarah's returning, everything's going to look different. It's all going to be kind of conceived anew.
So when you're in this town now, so there's a lot of non-player characters around. Can we actually talk to them and interact with them?
Absolutely. We just spoke to somebody named Alyssa. She's been kind of holding our hand through this part of the scene. She's got the cutscenes that we skipped, but these environments are going to be populated. You see characters everywhere. Anybody with a speech bubble you can talk to, interact with. They'll have multiple dialogue options.
Would there be multiple dialogue options?
Absolutely.
Basically?
They're all fully voiced.
Right.
So, it's kind of harkens back to the older Final Fantasies. There's no shops in this location here, so we don't want to necessarily call it a town per se, but we're trying to create these environments where players can go at their own pace, explore, kind of check out the nooks and crannies and see what's there.
Will the shopping system be different then? Will there be actual shops you can walk in and
we're
buy
not showing anything on shops quite yet,
okay.
but there'll definitely be a feature there. So we're opening the map here just to illustrate. We ran around that light gray area to show you that environment, but everything in dark gray is what we haven't uncovered yet. And one of the other big things the dev team's trying to do here is to add more optional content, more areas for player choice. You can see all these multiple pathways, different ways to go, dead ends that you can run into that might have some kind of secret items in them. So we're trying to make the map structure much more complex here, trying to give the player more freedom.
So what's happening?
We're about to get to our first battle here. What's going to happen is monsters will appear on screen, and then we'll get the Mog clock, which is that dial at the bottom. We can run around freely, and if we want to attack a monster while that clock is showing green, then we'll get an advantage. In this case, we got a preemptive strike. We've got haste on both of our characters, so they'll be operating more quickly. And then enemies are going to be very close to stagger from the outset, meaning that once we've staggered them, they're going to be much easier to damage.
So what happens if you get it in a yellow area or a red area of the clock?
No bonus in yellow, and if it's red, you're going to have the reverse happen. Enemies will have haste, will have slow. Now, what's really important to see here is that those enemies turn into a crystal. We actually just acquired them into our party. So you were asking about gameplay or battle changes. That's the other major change here is that now we have 3 monsters that have just been automatically applied for the purpose of this demo into our third-party slot.
Okay.
As we change paradigms, we're also going to change between those monsters. So they'll have that flexibility in battle as well. What we just saw there was called a live event. Those are short, brief cutscenes in the middle of the gameplay. They're there really to just kind of add a little bit more dynamism to the field map. You don't have to stop and go through a bunch of dialogue if you don't want to. You can just run right through. But we're watching Noel jump there. That is intentional, and that's a new feature, brand new to Final Fantasy.
Jumping.
Believe that or not. You have complete freedom of that now. And you can see our Moogle friend there just pointed something out. He's caught onto a treasure chest that's kind of hidden. One of his other abilities, in addition to being Sarah's weapon, is that he can uncover these treasure chests, bring them into our reality, and now they're accessible. So using the right bumper or R1 button, we can activate that ability and have him interact with the environment that way. And here we're going to get into another fight. We're going to see that those monsters that we just collected earlier in battle.
Yeah.
You can see that third slot's now got Flambonero in it. That's one of our guys. He's a Ravager, so he's kind of like a black mage, throwing out magic attacks at the enemy now. He's going to perform just like any character would in battle.
So when you've got these different monsters, I mean, there's different ones you can pick up. Could be any of them, right?
Yep, for sure. Through the demo, you might see that crystal appear later on in battle. As you progress, you're going to continue to collect these monsters, and you can be able to apply them to your party.
How long do they stay in your party then, once you've used the crystal?
Well, here he's going to be with us for good. So, once you have him, we've got him in our party. He's going to fight alongside us now.
But say he dies in battle. Is that it then? He's gone.
Oh no, he could die, but he'll be resurrected just like a normal character would. He's a phoenix down, and he's right back with you.
All right, great stuff.
So we had an option just a minute ago to check out some of that optional content down below. We're going to take this shortcut to get you straight to where we think Atlas is. We're going to go ahead and get in this fight. You can always dodge fights, but in some cases enemies are going to pursue you. So it's sometimes advantageous to just hit that Mog clock when it's good for you. When it's showing green, get that preemptive strike and get through the battle quickly. You also saw that we shifted paradigms here to an all commando role. That's all melee attackers. So Behemoth, one of the enemies we fought earlier, he subbed in automatically. It's all happening as instantaneously as the paradigms are shifting. So we're trying to keep that pace quick, but still allow players to kind of change the flow of battle and strategize however they want.
I mean, when you were working on this, I know that one of the major criticisms of the game was its linearity.
Yeah.
What's the biggest change here that's going to really try and get rid of that?
We think a lot of it comes down to several features, but at its core, it's really how the maps are designed and how the game itself is going to flow. We're not going to progress you along one rail and kind of show you, drag you along. We're going to have these areas like towns that are going to let you run around and explore at your own pace. You're going to be able to take these multiple paths. Here's another great illustration of that point. We're coming up on a scene where Alyssa, that girl we spoke to earlier, she's pointing out that there's a device that showed up mysteriously. This device, they're saying, may have something to do with that Atlas enemy we fought earlier.
Okay.
We have an option here, and Noel's explaining that we can either go and fight Atlas as he is. You might remember we got some help from some airships last time, so he was pretty strong. Or we can see what this device does and check it out and see if it's going to help us. This is called a live trigger. This is where that question that was just posed by Noel is now turned to the player. We can choose our response here. We're going to see what Alyssa says about it. And so depending on your choice there, you're going to get different dialogue options. But ultimately, it's in the player's hands from here to decide if they want to go straight to Atlas or if they want to check out the device and see what's going to help.
So effectively, you're just getting your other character's advice at this point. You don't have to take it. You can.
Exactly. It's up to the player here. So we're going to go to that northern objective. That's the where we think the device is. And Alyssa was reminding us that Atlas being pretty strong, she's agreeing that we should probably head to the device and see if we can get any help we can. But we're going to escape a few battles, go underground here. You'll notice it was raining previously. That's a weather effect that's been added at 13.2. Now that we're inside, obviously it's going to stop. We're just going to keep trucking along. As you can see, as we get away from enemies, they're trying to pursue us, but if we can keep them outside that red radius that surrounds us, it'll turn gray and we'll be able to escape battle. You can see these NPCs in the field. They're actually going on alert as soon as these enemies appear. The NPCs, anybody who's friendly, will interact with you. They'll interact with enemies in the field. So in some cases, when you're trying to avoid battle, they'll help you. They'll hold the enemy off for you. There's another important feature here that we just activated called the Feral Link. What happened is when the bar at the very bottom underneath Flaminaro's name fills up, we can activate his ability, which is, in his case, it's a rapid fire attack.
Yeah.
Any monster we can acquire is going to have a different Feral Link. You see it's charging pretty quickly, so they're meant to be used fairly often. They're not like a once per hour type deal.
5 stars.
5 stars. Illustrating how important it is to get those great results out of the mod clock. If you get a bad result, you're not likely to get a 5-star rating.
Right, okay.
It impacts the spoils you'll get. So we'll just turn this corner, and there's that device we were looking for. Yeah. Another brief cutscene here.
What would have happened had we decided to go fight Atlas straight away?
For this demo, we're trying to make it pretty realistic. So you would have gotten destroyed.
Right, okay.
You can maybe survive an attack or two, but it's futile. So we're anticipating that players, once they play the game, they may go on their own path. They may level up more. Could definitely conceivably be strong enough to fight Atlas at this time.
Yeah,
but
so it's not impossible then?
Absolutely not.
Right. Okay.
But for the purpose of this demo, it's not worth our time to show ourselves
No,
die.
absolutely.
So what just happened here is in a brief cutscene, Atlas came from his reality, dragged us into this temporal rift. It's basically a space between his and our reality, and we're going to be trapped here unless we can complete this series of puzzles. Small feature that's been added just to change the pace of the normal flow of the game, kind of clear your palette and see something different gameplay-wise.
So this is completely separate. It's a puzzle section.
Exactly. And here, what we're going to do is collect that crystal we see. The panels are going to disappear underneath us. We got to make to that finish. See, that first one's not too challenging, just a straight line. But they'll get more challenging as we go.
Why the inclusion of this then? I mean, it's not something that a lot of people particularly have been crying out for. I would say in Final Fantasy. I mean, what's the goal of it then?
Well, we've had puzzles before in Final Fantasy, and I think it just goes towards trying to mix up the gameplay a bit. When you're playing 40 hours in a game, sometimes you want to see things a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just trying to add these features that they're not going to take a lot of time. You're not going to lose your characters if you fail them. You can always retry. They're really just there to kind of change the pace a bit and give the player more to do.
So what about the economy system then? Has that been changed at all in the game?
We're not showing anything on economy yet.
Oh, you got to show us something.
Yeah. We're showing you the monsters. We've got a few key features here that we're showing. That live trigger is another big one for us since we're introducing that player choice. But we'll keep coming out with the other kind of hallmark features, ways of how the game itself will actually flow.
Yeah.
Right now we're just showing that one area and how it's going to work. So there's still a lot more to come closer to launch. But,
Okay,
so what we've done here is since we completed that event there, we've effected a change in the field. This device is now operational. We can use it. We're actually activating it right now. And we're going to see in a second that Atlas now is undergoing some sort of physical change. So whatever we did with that device, it's a mystery to us, but it's had some sort of effect. So hopefully Atlas is weakened. We're going to see if we can fight him without the help of those airships. And we're just going to have to backtrack a little bit to that previous objective and engage him.
Okay, so we're going back to Atlas. We're going to hopefully kick his ass this time.
Exactly. And there you see we're going to get in a fight with these bombs. They changed in appearance in Final Fantasy XIII, so we're still in that same universe. You're still going to see a lot of that familiarity for anybody who's played Final Fantasy XIII. But of course, we have these different angles on it. Bombs now in this form you can conceivably capture and use in your own party.
So one quick question that I know has been asked quite a lot is that, if you've got these multiple paths, will there be multiple endings? Yeah.
I think the way that you play the game is definitely going to be reflected somehow. You're definitely going to be rewarded for playing it your own way. We're not announcing anything yet there. Again, keep asking. We're happy to talk about it as much as we can, but we obviously need to hold some back for. We've got quite a ways to launch, but we're just trying to show pieces one at a time to make sure that all this content that we've tried to add can be shown in a very directed way.
Yeah, sure.
Keep things focused. So we're escaping battle here, just running past. We've got these NPCs here who will hopefully help us if enemies try to pursue.
So there's much change in the graphics engine of this as well. I mean, he's using the same one as 13, obviously, but have any tweaks been made?
What's going to be most noticeable is that everything we're showing in the E3 demo is cut zeros in-game. So we're really trying to improve the look of the in-game cinematics, try to lean on them heavily, and I think hopefully we'll just create that totally seamless cinematic presentation that way. So here we are at Atlas. He's undergone that physical change. The first thing we'll notice when we get into the battle with him is that his hit points have already been halved, so something's happened there. We've gotten some help. We'll also start putting damage on him immediately. Got a couple of Ravagers in the party, so they're going to be using magic attacks, and his stagger gauge is now increasing. So I think we've got a shot at fighting him. We're going to keep increasing that stagger gauge, but keeping in mind that he's a pretty powerful guy. So as he rears up for an attack, we'll see him start to raise his fist there. We're going to move to a defensive paradigm. We're going to prepare for the attack that's coming. Then as soon as he's finished with that, we're back on the offense. This is kind of illustrating that quick action that's possible in the paradigm system, alternating between defense and offense very quickly.
So effectively, though, you still only really control the central character, the middle character, effectively.
Correct. Yeah, your party leader is the one who you're giving direct control to, and the other characters are going to follow depending on their paradigm. Now that Atlas is staggered, we're going to unleash another Feral Link. See all that nice big yellow damage. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to switch to an all melee paradigm to try and take him out. See, he's almost dead there. And
almost done. He's nearly dead.
That's it.
Got him.
So Atlas is down.
Down him, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure, as always.
Likewise.
And when can we see Final Fantasy XIII-2 on shelves?
Saying early 2012.
Great stuff. Well, that's it from Final Fantasy XIII, but we're heading over to go see Deep Sea now.